Hey guys, Cheri from the Watering Mouth here. Thank you for tuning into another What I Eat in a Day to Lose Weight videos. This is from the Eat to Live Nutritarian lifestyle. So if you're looking to get healthy, eat some really high nutrient plant-based vegan food, this is the video for you. We'll also give you recipes from my protocol, what I eat when I'm trying to lose weight as well. I've had a couple of weeks here where I've been eating some off-plan foods, and I've been creating these 21-day challenges, which always kind of makes me get, off with my eating a little bit. And so I'm using meals like this right now to kind of get back down to my happy favorite range of weights, which is around 115. I think I'm probably around like 120 right now or something like that. So meals like this are very easy to use when you want to just lose a few pounds or you want to lose all the pounds. Say you have 100 pounds or more. This is still the same kind of food you're going to eat, and you'll still be satiated and satisfied by eating these kinds of meals, okay? So I'm going to tell you about how this specific set of meals works when we get into it, but this is what I would eat, and this is sort of my protocol. This is what I use when I want to go back into weight loss mode. So try these out, see if you like them. Also understand that these meals are huge, tons of fiber, tons of bulk. So don't worry if you see them and you think they're actually going to be small. Just give them a try, see how they go. I promise you, you'll be really, really full and really satisfied to each next meal, okay? As always, there's a cheat sheet included with this video, and the cheat sheets are recipes or tips or anything, transcripts sometimes from all my past videos. This one in particular is 3 new recipes that I've never released before, all for 1 day's worth of eating. And if you want to download that, you get on the cheat sheets list, which is thewateringmouth.com/cheat sheets. Sign up there. You can get all the old cheat sheets as well. I'll send you a password. You can access them anytime. That's how you get the recipes for this one, okay? So let me show you what I'm having today. Come on. So our first recipe is going to be a smoothie, which is very typical of recipes that I start with, either a smoothie or an oatmeal for breakfast. I like to use smoothies because then you get a ton of greens in. First thing in the morning, you get lots of nutrients, lots of phytochemicals, and that will just start to like jumpstart your day so that you have less cravings later. So we're gonna have a smoothie today called the Beets and Sweets smoothie, and this relies on raw beets, which is, if you haven't used this in smoothies before, give it a try, see what you think. So here's how we make it. So I'm actually going to start off with romaine instead of spinach like the recipe calls for, because I form kidney stones. So if you're someone who forms kidney stones, so by the way, only 10% of the population will ever form kidney stones no matter what you eat anyhow, so you probably don't have to worry about it. But if you already know that you form kidney stones, oxalate kidney stones, then do the modifications that I'm showing you. So I'm going to start off with romaine, but you could start off with spinach. That's what the recipe calls for. So the recipe is 4 cups spinach, and I'm going to use about 4 cups of romaine. I'm going to kind of eyeball it here. And 4 cups is it's pretty easy to measure actually just in the Vitamix. So I'm just going to we've got our 4-cup mark right here. So this doesn't have to be exact or anything. I want to talk a little bit about Vitamixes, because when you are starting off in the Nutritarian lifestyle, you definitely want to have a really good blender. And the Vitamix is a high-speed blender, so it goes really, really fast. It has a super great, I think it's like a 2-horsepower motor, and that type of a motor blends things up so much better than a regular blender. If you can invest, this was the first thing I ever invested in when I was starting out 6 years ago, and this is actually my second one because I gave my first one to my brother and then I got another one. If you can invest, I highly suggest it because it'll change your whole journey. Okay, so I start off with the romaine. You could start off with spinach, of course. Then we do 3 cups kale. So I always buy kale. I like this kind the most. This is called lacinato kale, and also AKA dinosaur kale, and they call it that because this looks like dinosaur skin, or what we would imagine dinosaur skin looked like. I like this kind the best for salads and stuff like that. And I also just end up putting it in my smoothies too because it's easier. But you could use any kind of kale for this smoothie type recipe. Now, I've measured out before, 1 stalk like this is about 1 cup. So I'm going to do 3 of these because this recipe calls for 3 cups of that. I like to buy it in the bunch like this because you can more easily take it off the stalk. I don't like to use the stalk of kale because it's really bitter. So I can more easily just strip the kale like that, take it right off of the stalk, instead of, usually what happens is you buy the pre-chopped kale and they don't remove the stems, and I find the stems to be kind of bitter, so I don't like that flavor. So that's why I like to buy them in bunches and just strip them myself. We're just stripping kale over here, right? So when I'm making smoothies, I always like to start with the greens, put the liquid in, blend that down first, because clearly I don't have enough room to put anything else in right now anyhow. Blend that down first so it gets real nice and blended, and then I put in the rest of the stuff. So I'm gonna put in the milk and the water, which is just equal parts, 1 cup of each, and I'm just gonna eyeball it using the measurement on the Vitamix down here. Close enough, and then I'm gonna put the water in. That's pretty close. Now we get that blending. Okay, now I have room to put other stuff in. This recipe calls for beets, and if you haven't used beets in a smoothie before, they have a very beety flavor. So you might want to use a little bit when you start out, just see if you can get through that flavor. I've covered this with a lot of like cherries and grapes and stuff like that, so it's gonna be really delicious. But if you're super sensitive to natural food type flavors, you might want to cut back on some of the things like kale or beets and add more romaine, more spinach, that kind of a thing, until your taste buds get more used to it. And I want to show you the beets. So what you're looking for is beets that are still on the plant. Like, so this would be in the ground and then this would be growing above ground. And what you're looking for is beets that still have the greens on it, because that's what we're going to be putting in our smoothie. We're going to use this beet and we're going to use a cup of these greens to put in there. Here's the thing about beet greens as well. I'm trying to get out of my box a little bit by never posting anything that has kidney stone foods in it. This is also a kidney stone forming food, okay? So just understand that if you form kidney stones, you want to leave out the greens, because I can't technically eat this, but I wanted to be able to show you a cool way that you can use these greens. These have wonderful micronutrients in them, so it's a great option to use. And we're just going to be using about 2 of these little leaves here, and I'm going to wash them, and then we're going to put this into the smoothie. Okay, so I got my beet greens washed, and I put those in there, and I'm also going to get my beets prepared. So I'm going to cut off beets off of this stem and cut off the little root part, and I'm going to wash this. So you want to be really careful with raw beets because they will stain stuff like crazy. Cooked beets aren't as bad, they still will stain stuff, but raw beets can be really bad. So I'm going to start off with a half of a beet, and you can just put this in the fridge for your next smoothie. Just chop it up into some pieces and we'll let the blender do the work. Watch your fingers, see, look at this. It's like just from touching it once, it's super pink, which is awesome. Then we're gonna put in a cup and a half of red grapes. So I have some red grapes over here. I'm gonna just pick these off and put them into my cup here. Yum. A cup of frozen cherries. Try to get organic if you can. Okay, and last but not least, always a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. It's the easiest way to get in your flax every day. And we like this because it's high in omega-3s, high in really good fatty acids for our brain health and so many other things. For some more creaminess, a 1/4 cup of pecans. You can put in any kind of nut and seed that you like. Walnuts are great, cashews, whatever else that you like. Okay, that's our final blend. It's a little bit creamier now. And here's our smoothie. Look how beautiful and red that is. This mason jar is 32 ounces. You can see we still have some left. This is like a full cup and a 1/4 left here of smoothies. So what I love to do is actually only drink 24 ounces, something like that. Put the rest in a cup for later, so it's kind of like dessert. And then you can use it as a sweet tooth thing after your lunch, or you can use it with dinner or whatever you like, okay? So let's test this baby out. Yes, that's good. So that amount of beet is totally doable. I think any of you would still like it even if you've never had this type of a thing before. You could add up to the full beet and it would still be good. It's got a really nice sweet flavor from the grapes and the cherries. Cherries are one of my favorite things to put in a smoothie, and red grapes add so much sugar, like just wonderful flavor. Those add like a lot of water too, so it's gonna be real nice and thin. So you could even cut back on the amount of water, or you could use frozen grapes, which is gonna make it a little thicker too, okay? Breakfast is served. Okay, now I gotta say something embarrassing. The first time I ever noticed this, when I had raw beets in something, it's a little bit embarrassing, but it's a good little note for you to understand. When you have your next bowel movement after eating this, you might have some redness. So watch out and don't freak out. Okay, lunch today is a beautiful salad called the Tuscany salad. Now what I'm making is one serving. I mean it, it's really only one serving. It is meant to be a huge salad that when you chew it all down makes a nice decent chunk of food in your stomach with lots of fiber. So a lot of the times when people start the Nutritarian diet, they can't believe actually how big the salads are supposed to be. And they're thinking they're supposed to be having these small salads and then they wonder why they're hungry an hour later. But that means you're doing it wrong. If you're hungry an hour later, your salad should take 30 to 45 minutes to eat, minimum. Like you should be feeling like you're a cow, chewing. Your jaw should be sore in the beginning of your journey. If it takes you any less than 30 minutes, then you're doing it wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this type of a salad. This is the bowl. Can you see like how big this bowl is? It's massive. I always make my salad come up to about here. Tons and tons of cups and cups and cups of food. And you just eat. Now sometimes people will have the salad at dinner and they'll have a smaller lunch if they can't eat this much at work kind of a thing. But this really is kind of the most important part of the Nutritarian day, is to have a huge salad like this that you're chewing and chewing and chewing. So on my channel, I like to do lots of salad recipes to give you great salad dressing ideas, really simple things. This is a pretty simple dressing on this salad, so let me show you how to make it. So salads for me always start off with, the bulk of it is a mild green, and today we're going to be using romaine and red leaf lettuce, and then there's a little bit of cruciferous. And cruciferous is a type of vegetable that gives you some really good anti-cancer nutrients in it, but they don't usually taste amazing, so we just use little bits of it here and there to kind of give us that good nutrients, but still not having too much that cruciferous flavor. So you'll get used to it more as you go, but we just put some of it in. So we're actually going to start off with preparing our tofu first, so it's draining while we're doing the rest of the salad. Okay, so let me show you how this works. So we're using tofu as our sort of bean component in this salad, which we should always be eating beans every day as part of the G-bombs on the Nutritarian diet. And so we're using tofu today. Now if you don't have any tofu, if you don't like tofu, if you've never used it and you don't feel like using it, you can use any bean to substitute this. But I want to show you how I actually press and prep tofu when I'm using it, okay? You can buy any kind of organic tofu, extra firm, that's what I like to put in my salads. That's a great thing to start with when you're just gonna be having cubes of it to eat like that. And then what I have here, this is my favorite Tofu Press. I actually just got this recently and I love how it works. So I'm gonna show you how I press it. Because tofu is packed in water, and so we don't really want all that water to water down our salad. So what I do is just open up the package along two sides like that, and here's our tofu. It was sitting in that water, and we're just gonna press this now. So I'm gonna actually do the three sides so I can open this up easier. Okay. So you can just take it out like this. You've got your brick of tofu here. Now it doesn't taste like much. I actually have gotten really accustomed to the flavor of tofu now, and I love it just plain, but don't worry, it doesn't have too much flavor. So what we do is we take this tofu press, and it has like a little guide, so it will show you where the tofu should go, and you kind of just, here, let me open this up a little bit more. It's got these cool little wing nut things. You just open this up some more, put it in there where the guide is, and then you can start to just turn these down and it will start to press the tofu. The more you spin these, the more it presses it. So I like to set it on the counter so it's dripping out. Yeah, see how that's just kind of dripping out? The more I spin these down, the more water will come out. So every few minutes, I will just screw this down a little bit more to make it a little bit tighter while I'm doing this, and it will be pulling out that water. It will just be pressing out that water, going into the sink, and it will make it a lot drier when I go to use it. A little bit careful not to do it too quick, because otherwise it will just kind of break the tofu too much. And this way, if you just do it gently and little by little, then it will drain out little by little. Okay, so that's what we do with our tofu while we are prepping the other stuff. So we just leave that sit there, and that will be ready to go when we're done. So we're gonna start off with the romaine. We're starting off with one small head of romaine lettuce. Now it's hard to say how much this all is because it varies greatly, but 3-4 cups, something like that, 2 cups, whatever, because we're gonna have red leaf lettuce that tops off the rest of the salad. We're always looking to start a salad with about 5, 6, or 7 cups of greens to start, and that's chopped greens, so chopped small already, 5 or 6 or 7 cups. Then we put the rest of the veggies in. So we're going to start off with romaine and finish with red leaf, and then add a little bit of cabbage. Then we'll put the rest of the veggies in. So I have my romaine here. I usually will buy it in the big heads instead of the hearts of romaine that are in bags. I usually buy the big heads, and what I'll do is take all of the leaves off of the stalk, wash them, dry them, and then put them into this huge tub. This tub is specifically for greens and vegetables, and I'll try to link this one. I don't know if it's available anymore, but I'll link something similar if I can't in the cheat sheets, and then I just leave it in here, and so this will hold me like 2 or 3 days worth of greens of romaine in here, and then I'll be able to just pull it out when I need to instead of having to wash my greens every day, okay? So this is what I mean when I say chopped. This is what you would measure to find out about how much 2 or 3 cups is, okay? So you chop it, I just add it to my bowl, then I go on with the rest of the ingredients. The next thing that we're going to be using is red leaf lettuce. Red leaf lettuce looks like this. It looks like green leaf lettuce but with red at the top. And we're just going to be using a similar amount as the romaine. I'm going to take off about 4 leaves here, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to just rinse this and dry it, and then we'll chop it up. Okay, so I've rinsed all the bugs off, and what I have over here is just a kitchen towel. I actually learned this from Dr. Furman himself. He does this in his kitchen. I saw it on one of his Facebook Lives. I have a kitchen towel sitting there. I just spread this out, put the lettuce in there, flat like this, and then you roll it up like that, and it will dry it so much faster than anything else. So I don't even use, like, I have my old salad spinner up there. I don't even use that anymore. I don't use anything else. I just use this kind of stuff now because I feel it's faster. When I'm really trying to get ahead of time, I'll do 1 or 2 whole heads at a time, and then I'll store it in this bin, and that's why I like to use this bin, so I only have to wash and dry things one time. And another reason that I started doing this towel thing too is because it was just so loud to use the salad spinner. My daughter's always having a nap when I'm spinning my salad, and I didn't want to wake her up. Okay. So this is a good start for our salad. Now, when you measure this and you find that you have about 5 or 6 cups to start with, just find a bowl that you're going to eat salad in all the time and figure out how much that is in your bowl. That way you don't have to measure every time. You just know that it's about that much, okay? I would even use a little bit more sometimes, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to use this much. So that's what we're starting with. Then we add something cruciferous, which is going to be just a cup of cabbage. I have red cabbage on hand, so you can use any kind of cabbage. So I just like to slice this really thin in really small pieces. That's not quite a cup, but I'm just going to go with it for now. Okay, the other thing that I haven't done yet is made my mushrooms, and I always like to keep some water sauteed mushrooms on hand so that I could just throw them into recipes. This recipe calls for water sauteed mushrooms, so I'm showing you exactly what it would be like in my kitchen if I didn't have all the things I needed on hand. So we've got the mushrooms here, uncooked. So I'm going to do the same thing that I do with my tofu, which, by the way, I'm going to push this down a little bit further so it will continue to drain more as I cook. So in real life, this is what I would do as well. I would go, oh crap, I don't have mushrooms. Start the pan on medium, get it warm. I would come over here, and this recipe just calls for a 1/4 cup. This is probably more than I need, but that's okay. I found that these organic white button stuffer mushrooms are the cheapest, so I pretty much always get these most of the time just because I can't be bothered to pay more sometimes. I mean, sometimes I get different ones, but I usually just grab these. And you just chop them rough. You don't have to chop them fancy or anything. And then we just throw these in the pan. And if you drop a mushroom on the floor and your husband doesn't see it, he'll never know. So then I'm just going to leave this to cook while I'm doing the rest of the salad. Okay. So we got a 1/2 cup of shredded carrots. All I had was baby carrots. So I'm just going to actually chop these. But if you had pre-shredded carrots at home, it's so much easier. Just use those. I don't mind kind of rough chopped carrots, so this is fine for me. But if you really like to have shredded ones, then go ahead and use those, or chop them finer, whatever you like. Okay, here's the fun part. So we got some basil, and I've been growing basil outside, so let me show you my cute little basil plant. Hi guys! Hello! So this is the mama baby basil plant, and I have this thing wrapped around her so the wind doesn't knock her over because it gets really windy here. So I'm just gonna take some of the leaves. So we have our wind-blown basil all rinsed, and I'm just gonna chop it up to smaller pieces. Recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup. Feel free to add more or use less, whatever you like. While I'm cooking, I am keeping an eye on these mushrooms so they cook down. I'll probably put this up a little higher. After a minute or so, these will start to give off some good water, and they won't need any water for cooking. So keep them at kind of a medium high, and that'll be the right temperature for them to not get burnt but give off water as well. So in a second or so that will happen, and we'll just keep the heat down to about this area here so that we don't burn them and they start to have enough time to give off water. The recipe calls for 1/4 cup chopped onions, and I have onions, but I just want to show you that all this is very flexible. So I could be using any kind of regular onion, but I'm just going to use green onions because it's the same kind of a deal. The reason we use onions is because they're super anti-cancerous as well. And so as long as we're putting in any kind of raw green onion per day, we're getting the benefits. So I'm going to put in 2 stalks. You could use more or less. You can see the mushrooms are starting to get a little bit wet, which is perfect. These really only need to be cooked for a few minutes, but I like to cook them down all the way. The reason that we cook mushrooms, and we always eat cooked mushrooms, never raw mushrooms, is because they contain a toxin called agaritine, which has been shown to be toxic, and we don't want to eat too much of it. Since mushrooms are a food that we eat every day, we always want to cook them so we don't get too much of that agaritine. So when we put them in salads or anything like that, we want to make sure that they're already cooked. Okay, 1 tomato. So this is an heirloom tomato. You can use any kind of tomato you like, but during the summer, I really like these heirloom ones. They're a little bit more expensive, but they tend to have tons of really good flavor. So we're gonna go with this guy. You don't have to eat as much as like this much. I'm probably just gonna use like half of this for this salad, but feel free to use more or less. You know, you can always adapt these recipes to your tastes. This is also why I love ceramic knives, because they get through tomato skins really easily. You don't need a serrated knife necessarily. They get through tomato skins really easy. And red peppers and things like that as well. Links for everything that I talk about, all of these products, in the cheat sheets and down in the description of this video. So this is about how much I want to cook them down. So I'm going to just turn this off and remove them from the heat. Let them cool off for a sec. I'm going to do the rest of the salad and then put those on top. Here's the sort of dressing part. So the dressing is composed of the juice from the tomatoes, some avocado, some sauerkraut, nutritional yeast, and some Mrs. Dash. So we're not really making a true dressing here, but the dressing is going to make itself as all these ingredients come together. So we've got the tomato in there already. We're going to put some avocado in, and we're going to use about 1/4 of an avocado. So that looks pretty beautiful. I'm going to just chop it right in the avocado itself. And you can decide how mushy you want your avocados or not. The more mush, the more sort of dressing you're going to get. I'm just going to take half of this guy. Okay. And typically when I have leftover avocado, we go through avocados a lot in this house, so I'll just put this in like a little Tupperware container in the fridge, and it's usually fine for a day or 2. Okay, so our next ingredient for the dressing is sauerkraut. So this is actually super, super yummy, but we want to be careful with sauerkraut because it always has a ton of salt in it. Of course, that's how you make sauerkraut. So I like this brand Bubby's because it doesn't have any sugar, or it doesn't, well, vinegar would be fine, but it also doesn't have vinegar. It's just salt and cabbage and water. So since it's such a high sodium food, it's 1/4 of a cup has 290 milligrams of sodium, which is kind of a lot. So we want to just rinse it a little bit first before we use it, and then it'll be good to go. Got it. I was about to have to resort to the
The brute force, the brute squad.
While I'm at it, I'm gonna just press this tofu a little bit more. I got my measuring thing here. I'm gonna measure out like roughly 2 tablespoons. This is about a tablespoon. Right into my strainer. Then I'm going to rinse it. And then we can chop it and put it in the salad. Okay, now we have the tofu. So the tofu is about ready. So then all you do is unscrew this, take off these wingnets here, open this up, and get that block of tofu. Now it's not perfectly dry. You could do this for a lot longer and it would be much drier, but this is a good place to start and it's fine for me. I really like tofu like this. So we're ready to go. I'm just going to cut about a half a cup worth into little cubes and we're good to go. I'm just going to take my mushrooms, put them right in here. That's more than the recipe calls for, but that's totally okay. You do not have to be exact with any of these things except for the high calorie foods like nuts and seeds or starches or grains or things like that. Anything else you can just kind of eyeball whatever your taste preferences are. Okay, so the last ingredient is Mrs. Dash. Mrs. Dash is a no salt seasoning. Of course, this is a no salt lifestyle, so we want to become friends with these kinds of no salt seasonings, and I promise you, once your taste buds change to appreciating no salt flavors, you're going to love these. So let me show you the ones that I have. This is my spice cabinet here, and you can see all of these containers with colorful tops are the Mrs. Dash flavors that I have. I have lots of them. And this is one of my favorites, the Southwest Chipotle. I'm going to link to these in the description of the video as well as the cheat sheet so you can start to try some of these as well. I'm linking Amazon links, but you can get them for much cheaper at your own grocery store, so you can check out there and see if there's some fun ones that you want to try. There's like a Fiesta Lime, this extra spicy, which I don't use very often, but actually might be really nice in this salad. But I'm going to go with the tomato basil garlic because I think that's going to complement the basil that we already have. And you can just kind of sprinkle it on however you like, maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon, half a teaspoon, something like that. Mix it in and see how you feel, okay? Here is our salad. Let me mix this up. Now, depending on how soft your avocado is, that's going to mix in with the lettuce and sort of create a dressing as you mix it. So it's better to have a softer avocado if you can, and just mix really thoroughly, and then you've got your salad ready to go. All right, so the last thing I forgot is nutritional yeast. It is a nutritarian and vegan staple. It is, if you've never had it before, I'm linking to my favorite one as well in the document. This is an unfortified one. Getting unfortified is important because we don't want to get a bunch of extra fortification in our foods, because then we just get extra things that our body doesn't need. But this is my favorite kind. It's the Cheri brand. We always put some nutritional yeast in savory things if we like it and if we feel it calls for it, because it gives it kind of a nice savory, cheesy kind of flavor and really, really adds to that amazing, amazing flavor in any vegan dish that you make. So we put it, I put it in salads all the time. I know cameraman loves it in soup as well, right? Mm-hmm. I can't explain to you guys how this smells right now, because we've got the Mrs. Dash, we've got the basil and the nutritional yeast, and it smells so incredible. Okay, let's have a taste. Now, if you can't tell, you should be able to, but like, this is a massive freaking salad, right? Like, this is a huge serving spoon. Like, look how big. Cups and cups and cups, okay? This is the size salad that you want to have. And it's funny because on the nutritarian journey, in my journey at least, it's been the opposite of typical dieting advice of you shouldn't eat in front of the TV, you need to be mindful of your food, all that kind of thing. No, you kind of just want to like mindlessly eat this kind of stuff because it's so much food, which is a great thing because we can really feel satiated and get to our next meal, get enough nutrients, get that satiety and that fiber, and really love the flavors of it as long as we're giving ourselves some good variety and all that. And it will really help us to feel satiated and not too hungry until the next meal, okay? So let's try. Yeah. It's that Mrs. Dash. Oh my gosh, I'm getting that like flavor thing in your cheeks, you know? What really makes this is sort of the liquid from the tomatoes kind of makes that dressing with everything else. But then that Mrs. Dash flavoring, oh, so good. So this is our salad for today. This is a huge lunch. Imagine chewing this whole thing and how much space is going to take up in your stomach. So much space. You're going to feel really satisfied and happy. And I'm going to eat this, but you guys just wait till you see dinner. Okay, so know how I said we could have some of our smoothie that was left over for dinner? So you could do that, or want to have ice cream for dinner? Yeah, let's have ice cream for dinner. So it's actually one of my favorite things to do, ice cream for dinner. But when you eat this type of ice cream, you don't have to feel guilty at all, and it makes a really good full meal. So you don't have to worry about being hungry or anything. It's kind of light too, so you don't feel super heavy afterwards, and you're still getting some really good nutrients, and you've gotten tons and tons of vegetables early in the day, so you have nothing to worry about. Now at my house, we always have some bananas on hand ripening. Always, constantly, because as soon as they get to that starting to brown spots, getting browner, then we throw them in the freezer for banana ice cream and for smoothies. So let me show you them. The bananas that we have right now are here. Now I have them and put them in here. So we're going to use 2 bananas for this recipe. This makes enough for 1 person, so it's going to be yummy. Now I have a video on my website about how to make banana ice cream depending on which blender you have. The Vitamix has no problem really with getting through frozen bananas like this that are almost whole. But if you have a regular blender at home, you might need to actually chop the bananas before you freeze them or after you freeze them, and just have them in chunks and add a little bit of extra milk to get it moving. But the Vitamix can handle it all by itself, but you might still have to use the tamper to kind of push it down a little bit, okay? So we've got 2 bananas, we've got a 1/4 cup of non-dairy milk. So I'm using soy milk because it's nice and creamy, but you can use almond milk or anything like that too. We've got a 1/4 cup of nuts. We're using walnuts. You can use any kind of nuts that you like, but we're using walnuts. 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla powder or extract. So you can use vanilla bean powder, and I'm going to link this as well. This is a good one. I just have a ton of vanilla at home, like the extract, so I'm going to use this, but you can use this as well, the powder, and get some good flavor there. So I put a little medicine dropper in my vanilla thing. 1/4 teaspoon is about 2 of these, so I'm going to put some in there. And then we add 1 cup of berries. You can use any kind you want. We happen to have some fresh blueberries at home. Okay, this is dinner. So it will move on its own, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't get too blended too quickly. So I'm going to use the tamper. Okay, so this is like soft serve. If you were to like use frozen blueberries, you could have more of a frozen ice cream kind of a thing, but I'm doing more like a soft serve. I have a nice little ice cream bowl. And you get a big spoon. You gotta use a big spoon for this. Look at this, you guys. I don't even have to scoop it, look. Oh, that's the stuff. Oh, it doesn't even fit in my bowl almost, yay. Are you salivating?
Well, I mean, that's for me, right? I'm not getting any anyway.
Not even a little bit.
Dang.
All right, I'm gonna have a bite. Okay, ready? It's good, right?
Oh yeah.
It's pretty freaking awesome. So this is dinner for reals. Oh, here's a note. If you don't like bananas, I'm sorry. You can use mangoes instead, that sort of a thing, but this is such a fun thing to have every once in a while. Just don't do it all the time, right? Because it's better to have some vegetables as well, but this is totally something you can do on occasion. So I hope you love this recipe. The cameraman's about to sneeze. I gotta go. See you after dinner. Okay, what'd you think about those meals? I'm still super having fun with the taste left in my mouth of that ice cream, and I gotta go eat the rest, so I need to finish this part here really quick. Remember to download the cheat sheet, wateryourmouth.com/cheatsheets, so you can get the recipes from this particular video. You can also get the recipes from all the previous What I Eat in a Day videos as well, and so many other recipes and tips and transcripts and ideas and things from all my past videos. So make sure you sign up there to get those cheat sheets. You'll get a password, and then you can access it whenever you want. Make sure you check out my Patreon channel. That is so super important to me. That is the place where you can help support me a little bit to make more videos. If you like this video and you want me to keep making more, help me out on Patreon, but you also get some free exclusive content there as well. and things I'm just coming across from people I'm talking to on social media and email and things like that. So please check me out at patreon.com/thewateringmouth and see if you can find it in your heart to just throw a couple bucks my way every month. It would be so helpful. Seriously, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is my soft sell for a subscription. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or to Facebook or wherever you're watching this video. Please subscribe so you can get my content whenever it comes out. And this helps me build and grow my channel, which only benefits you, okay? So that's all I got for you right now. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video, and have a good one. I'll see you later. Bye!